Hey, good morning. It's Gary. It's December 18th, and today I just want to talk a few minutes about how to make your player a better player, faster player, and more efficient out on the field with just a couple little changes that they can do. Now, before I go ahead and do that, I'm going to play this little video for you, and the reason I want to show you this video is I posted this one online into a Facebook group, into a coaching group, and as social media goes, of course, I got blasted as a crank, a wanker, all the other terms that especially the English like to use to criticize us American soccer players. Of course, I can't even say soccer, it has to be football, but that's a different story of why I get criticized. But anyhow, let's go ahead and I'm going to play this video for you just so you can get a feel for what I'm going to be talking about and how I can help your kid become a better soccer player. Okay, so just a little background on this. What we often do at the end of the session is we'll break up into groups, little teams. Of course, we're always doing at least a two-man team throughout our training session because it makes it more fun, makes it more competitive. It helps us gamify everything so that they work hard, but they're having more fun. I mean, that's why they're working hard, because they're having fun. Anyhow, point of the story is I wanted to demonstrate that there are different techniques that you can do to just become more efficient. Okay, that's a huge part of becoming a faster soccer player because your body can only move so fast. You can only move physically at a certain limit. So if you want to become a faster player, you have to do things in a more efficient way so that same physical speed translates into a total system speed improvement. So this video demonstrates very well that concept, and the reason it does is because these players are both regular Soccer Labs participants, and they're both about the same speed, and both good players. So when they turn the corner around these poles, and I'm going to come back to this for a second, I want to get to this point. When they came around here, around these poles, there's a more efficient way and a less efficient way of doing it. And what I did was I posted this video on to a soccer coaches group, actually a UK soccer coaches group. And I wanted to see if people would spot the difference, if they would be able to see that one way is faster and one way is the other. And of course, some coaches spotted it right away. And then some coaches spotted it after I told them the answer, and then some coaches just continued to insult me and call me a wanker and a crank and, all the other great terms as you get on social media. But it got me thinking about the fact that we have a couple different things that we do, not with Soccer Labs, but with Soccer Pro as well, with our virtual coach, because the virtual coach will get people to the virtual coach is a way that you can have an experienced, talented coach break down game video for you. So anyhow, I'm going to come back to that topic, but for right now, what I want to do is just continue on with this. What happens in this video is that one player, if you watch on the right, he is taking the corner with his inside step, but with his outside leg. Okay, inside of the foot, outside leg. So basically, he's taking that long way around the corner. Now, also, I want you to see the body position. When you look, you can see that the ball is actually getting behind him. Now, when you look at the ball here, you see the ball is staying in front of her. She's using the outside of her inside leg. So he's going the long way around the course. She's going the short way around the course. He is letting the ball get behind him. She's keeping the ball in front of her. These are simple concepts, all right? But what ends up happening is that these people will, again, not spot it or just fight me on it and just tell me I'm an idiot. Okay, fair enough. I don't know everything. There's a lot of things I'm always learning from other people. But there are certain basic things that you should be able to spot. And the nice thing with Soccer Labs is you get this repetition to build these habits. And after this race was over, of course, I asked the kid that lost, I asked him why he lost. He knew immediately. Okay, that's the thing. We're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have errors out on the field. But you have to know when you're doing things the right way. You have to know when you're doing things the not so right way, and then make those corrections back to the good habits. That's what we're always trying to do, is build good habits out on the field or in anything, whether it's business, sports, whatever. So there are efficient ways of doing things. There are inefficient ways of doing things. Now, I had another player come in. He's a college-age kid and very fast player. You know, these, especially college-age boys, you know, they're lightning quick. They have, I mean, that's why they're college-age players, right? They don't get to be college-age soccer players playing at that competitive level without being extremely fast. But what I was able to do with him is to show him that, again, one little change to his game, I was able to increase his speed in one of these practical drills, not just some, you know, like toe tappy things, but a practical drill where he increased his speed by over 12% just by making one change. Now, physically, I didn't make him faster. I didn't make him 12% faster in one session, but I was able to improve his efficiency, which made him 12% faster through that one drill. So there's this very important concept you always need to keep in mind. We all have a physical limitation. And when we talk about making kids faster out on the field, when I brag about the fact we get our kids looking visibly faster out on the field in 3 to 4 sessions, it's not that I'm making them physically faster. I'm not improving their 40 speed from a, let's say, a 5.2 40 to a 4.8 40. Okay, that takes more time. I mean, we work on that, of course, but that takes more time. It takes more repetition. It just takes more grinding effort, you know, to make that happen. But through efficiency of movement, we can make these players appear faster and actually be faster through a specific objective because they're doing it more efficiently. Again, just look at this image and you can see the body difference of this ball getting behind and coming around the long way, this ball taking the tight turn and staying in front of the player. It's a very simple concept, but when you get a lot of coaches that don't even recognize it, and worse, when you get these coaches that fight it, well, those aren't the guys that are going to improve it for you. So you can keep going to these people and they're going to keep giving you what they keep giving you, and you're going to keep getting what you're getting, but you're not going to get to the level that you need to be. Now, I'm going to bounce over to Soccer Pro, and I just want to show you one other thing because I want to get to the second topic. And the second topic is the same kind of, but in a different way. So what ends up happening, we have a virtual coaching system. And what ends up happening with a lot of players is they go to clubs, they play games, they win, they lose, they do well, they do poorly. Most of the time, they don't know what they're doing, okay? They don't know why they won. They don't know why they lost. They don't know the difference between a good game and a bad game. They don't understand why one day they were playing so great or looked so great or felt so great, and the next day they felt terrible. Well, sometimes they played better in the terrible game and actually worse in the other game, but the video is what you need to show them and communicate with them. Think about it this way. Every single pro player will use video for breaking down the game and making them smarter. And the pros are the least likely person to need it because you can tell them something and they can visualize it in their head. They're that advanced. They understand that when a coach says, hey, you didn't do this, well, right away they get it. But you take a younger kid, they don't get it. How are they going to visualize something they have no comprehension of? It's like trying to explain blue to a blind person. It's very difficult. But if you could show them blue, of course, it's very simple. And that's the same thing with the video. If you have coaches that aren't breaking these games down for the kids, first of all, the coaches aren't seeing the game at the same level they should be. Until you actually break it down with video eyes versus live game eyes, you don't really see what's going on in the game. And until you break it down for your kid, whether the coach does it, whether a virtual coach does it, whether you do it as a parent, it doesn't make as much sense to the kid as when you show them on video, you show them exactly what's happening, and then you explain to them what they can be doing better or what they did really well, because that's important too, right? You want to show them what they did well, and then you'll get more of it. You want to show them what they're doing poorly so they can improve that. But young kids especially, I get this all the time where they say, it's too young. Why would we waste our time on that? Well, why wouldn't you? I mean, why would you waste your time coaching a young kid? If they're too young to understand a video, why are they getting coaching? Why are you explaining something to them? Why are you doing the least best communication instead of the best communication, which is video? I mean, you can explain something, you can draw it out, you can conceptualize it, but young kids are not great at conceptualizing some things that are things that they don't understand. Adults aren't either. I mean, that's why Zoom is so popular. That's why screen share is so popular. When we have communication meetings for our business, when we talk about software, we've got a team that has been together forever and a day, over a decade, and yet we still do screen shares and communications, and we draw things out because that's the way humans communicate. We're visual creatures. We need to see it, hear it, feel it, touch it. The more senses we put into something, the better we understand it. So when we try to explain something to a kid, they don't get it. Especially when we try to go back and say, hey, remember that play you did in the game? No, they don't remember. They're not going to make any improvements. They're going to go do the same thing that they did the first time because they thought it was the right thing at that time. They're going to think it's the right thing again. So if your coach is breaking down games for your kids, that's great. If they're not, you're not getting a fully developed player. If you're not doing it, you're not getting a fully developed player. If someone isn't doing it for your kid, for your favorite player, you are not getting that kid to the highest potential for their physical ability. The same way, if you are not doing things in the most efficient way physically, you are not going to maximize the speed of that kid. You're just not. One of the things I do at Soccer Labs, I hold two hands out and I say, okay, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go. I want you to slap my hands as quickly as you can. And every kid will use two hands and go like that, right? Bam. And then I'll do it for them and I'll go with one hand and I'll say, well, what's faster, two hands or one hand? And they always say two hands. I say, well, did I tell you to use two hands? And they say, no. I say, well, why did you use two hands? They say, well, because it's faster. So, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I ask, why do you use one foot to play soccer? Why don't you use two? And then the realization kicks in. Sometimes, most times. But if you're not using 2 feet for soccer, you're not efficient. If you are coming around the corners, dragging the ball with the outside foot instead of using the inside foot, you're not as efficient. If you are not analyzing video to see where you are having a good move versus a bad move, good strategy versus bad strategy, you are not going to be as good of a player. It's just that simple. So what I want you to do is think about, if you're in the region of Soccer Labs, which most of you aren't, stop in and we'll get you more efficient. Okay, it's the same thing for all these kids. Again, your coaches aren't doing it. I mean, I don't want to pick on all coaches because there are some that are doing it. But the vast majority don't have the facility. They don't have the time. They don't have the maybe experience at doing this. But a big part is really facility and time. That's probably the biggest thing. There are those, let's say, bottom third coaches that are, busy calling everyone else wankers and cranks and whatever else. They'll never get it. I don't care what facility you put them in. But coaches are great at strategy, positioning, team play. They're not great at individual skills development and creating efficiencies and having a facility like Soccer Labs. They just don't have it. But all coaches should be and could be using a system like Soccer Pro to break down the videos, because you can do this remotely. You can upload a video from anywhere in the world, and a coach from anywhere in the world can do the game analysis for you and put it right back into your account. Our system is built for that. It's built for this type of virtual coaching. So you can get a virtual coach who's very experienced at game analysis. They can break down the game for your son, daughter. They can have that in your account. You will have it forever. So you pay one fee, you have it forever. And then your son and daughter will fully understand, or finally understand, what's going on in the game. And frankly, you will too. When you see that sometimes your kids are having a great game, but they lose, and they're playing a really tough team, but they've put a lot of hustle in, they've put a lot of good moves in, they've done a lot of the right things. A lot of times they can get down on those games, and they shouldn't. So it's a great thing to do when you think, hey, maybe they've had a bad game, maybe they didn't. Okay, and this is one of the surprising things that I found when I started doing a lot of game analysis, is how much my live game eyes are lying to me all the time. The second thing is that they will just improve, okay? Typically there are very simple things that every player is doing that they can change, they can modify, they can improve, they can increase their efficiency, they can, again, outside of the foot or inside of the foot, long way around the corner, short way around the corner. In a gameplay, it's a lot of positioning. There's just so many things that get easier and more efficient when you're in the right position and when you're doing things the correct way, versus being in the wrong position and having to scramble. And in fact, sometimes it's kind of ironic where you'll see some players are like, wow, what a great play. Well, Yeah, let's call it what a great recovery from a bad play versus what a great play. Because a lot of times you'll see the players that are really active out there, really scrambling, really hustling. Well, they have to hustle because they screwed up down over here. So they have to hustle and scramble to get back here and make that spectacular sliding tackle to make the save. But what they could have done was circumvented and prevented the whole thing from even starting if they would have been doing the right thing further up the field. So you really have to watch. Is the active player really the guy that you want out there, or is it maybe the calm player, the one that's efficient, right? That's composed, that's not making these scrambling runs and spectacular sliding tackles. Often that's the player you want versus the one that you see and are impressed by. Anyhow, that's a little bit of a different rant. My only point is that your game eyes will lie to you. Video eyes will expose the truth. If you are not using video to help your player develop, they are not going to develop their brain. They are not going to be the player that they could and should be if they were to be using the same physical capabilities they have today. Because I don't care what level you are, you're always going to have a maximum physical capability. They need to use their brain and engage it so that they are more efficient out on the field. When you get into technical training, it really helps their efficiency if you have someone that understands the difference between the inside of the foot and the outside of the foot, big circumference, little circumference, or radius, whatever you want to call it. These are really simple things. If you're in the area of Soccer Labs, we'll make your kids more efficient. We will get them to learn the habits that make them better, not just in a controlled setting, but they carry those habits out onto the field. If they need game analysis, which most likely they're not getting, we have a virtual coaching system through Soccer Pro. Again, it's free. You sign up, you upload, it's all free, okay? Now, of course, if you want to pay a coach to do it, well, there's a fee for that, obviously, because someone has to spend, time to do that. But you can do it. All right. If you are a sporting parent, soccer is not a complicated game, at least not at the youth level. When you get it to the high level, sure, there's a lot more that happens, just like anything. But at the youth level, it's very simple. It's passing, dribbling, shooting, okay, positioning, right? It's not complicated. If you've played sports, you already know soccer. You've watched soccer, you understand it. If you need help, there's people that can do it, right? Get an experienced coach. It's beneficial for even great coaches to have another coach look at what they're doing because they can get perspective that they may not understand. And when I have coaches come in and bring kids into Soccer Labs, sometimes they'll run their own session in our facility, and I always like to watch. Or when they have, sometimes sessions together, they'll say, well, what do you want us to do? And I'll say, well, you do what you do, because I want to watch. I want to see what you do, because there's always something I can learn, I can pick up from other people. It's the same way with any coach. If I'm running a team, getting that third party perspective is very valuable. Right? To hear what other people are able to tell me, to see what they are seeing, to have them do a video breakdown, there's a lot of value in that. It doesn't mean I'm smarter than them or they're smarter than me. It's just that we see things in a different way. And again, tons of value in that. So if you're a coach and you want to get some virtual coaching, we can help you with that. We have a whole large group of either coaches that are internal, or we have a great group of external contractors that we'll utilize, and we can even connect you directly with them. So we have all these different options to help you become better teams, better players, more efficient, using our Soccer Labs facility, using Soccer Pro. And it's just very simple concepts. Again, we're not talking pro level, we're talking youth soccer. All you have to do is be smarter than a 10-year-old soccer player, and you can help them, okay? That's it. You can help a 10-year-old soccer player because you've played sports. Basketball, it's positioning, it's body position, it's getting ball side versus goal side, right? It's very simple things. And those things can have a dramatic difference in the way your child plays. So you can help them. I guarantee you can help them. All right, anyhow, I'm going to stop ranting. This is a simple concept. I hope I've made sense here. And I'll probably make more sense if I would have just had a little bit more coffee. So, you have a great day. If you need anything, our phone number is on the website. Call us. I'll speak to you directly. Always happy to have a soccer conversation. All right, this is Gary with Soccer Pro, Soccer Labs. Hoping you have a great weekend and success on the pitch. Bye now.